Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is Sonali Sinha. Um, I'm going to conduct this session today. So let me start with a quick, background about myself. So I'm the founder and CEO of an innovative learning and development company called Soaring Learning. I have about 23 years of experience across different industries. I actually started out in investment banking and I have worked in investment banking for about 16 years with organizations like Ernst& Young and SBI Capital Markets. After that, I felt the need to move into a career where I felt my work had more of a social impact. So I actually quit investment banking and joined an NGO called Dignity Foundation, where I was the CEO running the organization. So I was there for about 3 years, and then eventually I started Soaring Learning, which is basically into training, coaching. We do corporate training. We work with individuals, and we work very closely with JobsForHer, with women who are on a break and who want to come back. So, as you can see in my own life, I have had a fair bit of transition, and but at each stage, I was very clear in terms of what I want to do. And I have been able to make those transitions. So I hope I will be able to address your questions and be able to actually help you get more clarity or get more support in terms of how you can go about this process. Yeah, so shall we get started with the questions? I have a few questions that were already asked earlier, so I will start with those and we will continue with the questions as they come along. So the first question is from Deepa Soman. She says, I already completed a course and then I posted my resume in many job sites, but I didn't get any calls. So can you please help me? Okay. So Deepa, I don't have a background in terms of which industry or profile you have, but what I can suggest is whatever courses you do, make sure that they are in line with what you hope to get going forward. So, for example, if you want to get into data science or become an analyst, then do courses that will actually support your move into that industry. Okay. Also, the way you write your resume, it is very important, because if you are highlighting only your prior experience, which may or may not be relevant for your current role that you're applying for, then there will be a challenge. So you need to customize your resume for each company or industry that you apply to, and you need to highlight how you have used your time during the break to actually upskill yourself. In fact, if you're taking a certification course, I would recommend, instead of going for a free course, try and go for a paid course, which is of a longer duration, so that at the end of it, you actually have the skills and the confidence to move into the new role. I hope that will help you go ahead, Deepa. Uh, Let me look at the next question, which is from Priyanka Mukund Deshpande. She says, I am 45 years old and I'm a housewife in Hyderabad, Telangana, India, and an ambassador at JobsForHer for a year now. I want to know how I should go about in the future. So again, Priyanka, it's great that you are already associated with JobsForHer as an ambassador. I'm sure you would be getting a lot of exposure in terms of the kind of companies that are keen to hire restarters, and also the areas that they are really looking for. So if you want to come back into a full-time role, I would suggest first spending some time in figuring out what are your areas of interest, what did you enjoy in your previous organizations, what kind of work, and what are your strengths and your skill sets, and also look at what are the accomplishments that you have that you can highlight in your resume and your interviews. So these are some of the things that you need to spend some time on. And you could also explore certain programs that are offered for restarters on JobsForHer. where we can actually help you design your resume better and also build the confidence to actually do well in interviews. So your my basic message to you, Priyanka, would be to figure out what is it that you would really enjoy doing. Look at your strengths. If you feel that you want to get into a new field, then look at what are the skill sets that are required, especially the technical skills that are required. Go ahead and do certain programs which will help you develop the technical skills, and then work on yourself. And with that confidence, I'm sure you will be able to get back to a full-time role. Yeah. Uh, so I hope that answers your question, Priyanka. Now let's move to the next one, which is from Grace Getan. She says, I have done BSc honors in mathematics during my graduation, and I landed in an executive assistant role 9 years ago due to no guidance. I want to change my stream into data analytics. Need some help in doing this. Look forward to your advice. So, Grace, thank you for your question. I think you have highlighted something very important, that a lot of times we get into roles or jobs which just sort of come our way, and we are not very selective, and that sort of defines our profile going forward. So, it's very important to take a step back and see how you would want to actually shape your career. It's your career, it's your choice in terms of what work you do. Whatever experience you've had in the past, for example, you have 9 years of experience, uh, it's not that that experience is of no use, right? You have to look at the skills that you developed while you worked in that role, and how these skills would be relevant for the new role that you get into. So it is very important to understand what are these transferable skills. Transferable skills are basically skills that you could have developed in a particular field, but something that you can transfer or take to another field. So, as an executive assistant, there are many skills that you would have developed. It could be in the area of effective communication, effective documentation, planning, organizing meetings, conducting, you know, uh, the sessions, all of that. So, whatever skills that you have developed in your role as an executive assistant, you need to see which of those you can highlight in your resume. And when you want to get into a field like data analytics, obviously you need to do a few training programs, certification programs, so that you develop the skill sets for this new kind of profile. There are many programs that are offered on various online training platforms. I would recommend going for platforms which are recognized by the industry. You need to look at the industry tie-ups that that program has or that platform has, and the kind of reviews people have written in terms of whether they have been able to translate the certification program into an actual job in a particular role in that field. So I would recommend doing a bit of research. There are various platforms which you can look at, which can help you get into the data analytics space. So my recommendation to you would be to first look at job descriptions that are there for a data analyst. Understand what are the skills that they want you to have for that role. Look at your prior experience and pick out the transferable skills which would match the requirements that are there in the job description. Identify the gap areas that are there in terms of the technical skills that you need. Identify certification programs which will help you develop those technical skills. And then once you're done with the program, rewrite your resume, highlight all these things that I mentioned in terms of the transferable skills, the certification, maybe a project that you have worked on, maybe an internship that you have done, and then start applying for jobs as a data analyst. I'm sure if you go about it in this manner, you will be able to get some good opportunities. On the other hand, if you just start applying for roles in data analytics without identifying your strengths, without identifying your transferable skills, without spending time, energy, effort, money in getting certified, then it is very likely that you might be disappointed. So I would recommend preparing first and then applying for these jobs, and I'm quite certain that you will be able to handle get more opportunities in this field. Okay. You might have to start at a level which is maybe more junior than the years of experience that you have, but that is something that is to be expected when you make a transition. And it's only a matter of time after you join an organization in this role. It finally then depends on how well you work and how well you perform for you to actually move up the ranks. Okay, so I hope, Grace, you've got some ideas in terms of how you can go about making the transition from being an executive assistant to being a data analyst. Yeah. Okay, let's move to the next question, which I have, which is from Ramya Ramamurthy. She says, "Hi Sonali, I am unable to explain my project details, so kindly guide me to handle the project related questions." So, Ramya, actually, this question is more around, how to handle questions in an interview. Um, so, I would still, suggest that you need to work on your interview skills so that you're able to market yourself as the ideal candidate for that role. So for that, it's very important to anticipate the kind of questions you would be asked. And these questions could be questions about you, your strengths, your background, your accomplishment. These questions could be about your work experience. They want to judge how well you understood what you were doing and what was your role and what was your contribution. So you should be able to talk very confidently about your prior experience. And also they would want to understand your understanding of how the business world or the organization or the company is evolving, and how the projects that you handle, how are you actually keeping yourself abreast of all the changes that are happening. So for this, let me try and give you a format that, or a template that you can follow, so that you can structure your answers better when it comes to handling questions related to projects that you have handled. Okay. So suppose they ask you about, tell me about a project where you faced a lot of time pressure, but you were able to still deliver the project on time. So typically for questions like this, they are basically trying to understand how you manage to handle the project, how did you structure your work, how did you manage the team. So it is a question which gives you a great opportunity to showcase a lot of your skills, whether it's around communication, leadership, strategic thinking, critical thinking. So use this opportunity by structuring your responses really well. So you could use this template that I'm going to share. We call it the STAR approach, which is start with the situation. So when you're answering a question on your project, first give the context. What was the situation? What was the requirement of the project? Okay. The second thing is task, which is what is it that you were supposed to do in what time frame. Okay, so situation, and then the task, and then talk about the actions you took, whether it was in terms of planning, in terms of coordinating, in terms of monitoring, all the actions that you took which led to the success of the project. Talk about that, talk about your role in that, and talk about how you contributed ideas or how you led the team together. And finally, R is the result that you were able to deliver. So if you are asked any question related to a project that you have handled, avoid giving long, rambling answers, and avoid giving very short one word or one phrase answers. Try and give a very structured response, which starts with what was the situation, what was the task that was assigned to you, what were the actions that you took, and as a result, what were the outcomes that you were able to deliver. So if you structure your answer in this format, I'm sure you will be able to impress the interviewer and get the job. I hope that helps you, Ramya. Let's move to the next question, which is from Ashwini. She says, I have 7 years of career break due to kids and family. I have been updating myself with the technical skills by taking freeware courses online, but I always find my resume not processing further after the initial call made by the recruiter. So please guide me on what I need to do to get my resume processed further. Okay, so Ashwini, what I understand is you have used your break very effectively and you have done a lot of courses online. So I think that is something that you should be very proud of. I would encourage you to explore, whether you have done all the relevant courses for the field that you are in. Okay, especially if you are in IT, you know that technology is changing really fast. So, are these courses that you have done relevant to the changing environment? If they are not, that could be one of the reasons why the discussion doesn't go further. Another possible reason could be that some of these freeware courses are actually very basic and introductory courses. Maybe if you do a longer term paid certification program, which is accepted by the industry, it will probably add more value to your resume. Okay, so that could be another thing that you can do. The third thing could be to actually look at your resume very critically, maybe get it reviewed by somebody who can give you inputs in terms of whether your resume is actually highlighting your strengths, your skills, your experience, and also all the new skills that you have developed. It is possible that there are certain gaps in the resume which put questions in the minds of the recruiter, or they don't find themselves fully convinced. So I would definitely encourage you to go and look at your resume again, and if necessary, seek the help of somebody who can help you design your resume better. Uh, Besides the resume, I see that you also have had initial calls with the recruiter and things haven't progressed beyond that. So I would encourage you to also understand what sort of questions did the recruiter ask, how were your responses, were your responses confident, were you able to highlight your strengths, because we may think of it as a preliminary call, but every interaction with the recruiter, with the company, is a point where they are evaluating you. So it's very important to treat these initial calls also very seriously. You need to be prepared in terms of how you introduce yourself, how you highlight, how you have kept yourself connected with what's happening in the industry. So these are things that you need to be able to do in the initial call itself. If I'm just hazarding a guess here, if on the call you mention that, okay, I have been on a break, but I have been doing courses, you might actually give them the message that, okay, this person is on a break and maybe it is a longish break. So I'm not sure whether she's fully equipped to come back or not. So be very careful in terms of how you introduce yourself, the words that you use, your confidence levels, the questions that you ask about the role, whether is there some sort of desperation that comes across. So you need to tone that down. So there are a lot of factors that probably go into why your application does not proceed. So to summarize what I have said, go back and look at the courses that you've done. Are they in line with the jobs that you're applying for? And are these courses considered valid or appropriate by the industry? Second, go and look at your resume. How are you highlighting your skills, strengths, and how you are the ideal candidate for that particular job? You need to customize your resume for every application that you make. And finally, also look at how you're handling the initial call with the recruiter. it is possible that you may not be coming across as confident, or you may be coming across maybe some sort of desperation may be coming across, which may turn the recruiter away. So you need to have a very crisp introduction for yourself, and you should be able to highlight what you bring to the table in a very confident and crisp manner. So I hope this helps you. I would encourage you to look at some of the programs that are being offered on Jobs for Her platform as well, on interview skills and resume writing skills. I'm sure when you do some program like that, it will really help you handle your next opportunity very effectively. So I hope, Ashwini, that helps, and all the best for your job search. The next question is from Priyanka. She says, as a new mother, the career break is already hectic and tiring. How can I manage to upskill during this time? And are there any courses designed for women on a career break? Okay, Priyanka. So, I completely understand where you're coming from. So, as a new mother, you are obviously already very busy with your child. So, where can you find the time and energy to actually take on certain courses? That is your question, the first part of the question. So, again, this is something that each individual has a different environment and a different setup, but I would encourage you to carve out maybe at least 1 hour or half an hour in a day, initially, just to put your thoughts together in terms of how you want to take your career forward. So do some strategic thinking, think about which direction you want your career to take. And to do that, what do you need to continue doing during your break? It's very important to be strategic about this. If you plan in advance, then you will be able to use whatever little time you have more effectively. Okay. If instead you don't plan at all, and after 6 months or 9 months you realize that time has already gone and you've not been able to actually utilize it well, so I would suggest take some initial time to plan what are the kind of courses that will help you remain in touch with what's happening in your industry, or what are the other areas that you can explore. Could it be volunteering, or could it be freelance projects? So explore, think about all that you want to do. Okay. And then break it down into manageable small tasks, maybe plan on a weekly basis, so that you don't feel overwhelmed by all the work that you have to do. So plan, strategize, create a weekly plan maybe for the next few weeks, and then just focus on what you've decided to do. Maybe just take out 1 hour in the day, and keep in touch, read blogs, connect with people in your company, in your industry, um, read what's happening in your industry. Maybe look for courses that you can do. All the online courses are self-paced, so you can plan your work accordingly. Also, if you want to remain in touch, maybe taking on a freelance project or a consulting project which gives you the flexibility to work on your own time, could also be something that you can explore. Okay, so I hope you are able to implement this idea that you don't have to get overwhelmed by all that you need to do. Strategize, plan, and then do just that small task that you have planned for each day. Coming to the second part of your question, which was, are there any courses designed for women on career breaks? Actually, there are a lot of courses that are designed for women. In fact, we at Soaring Eagles offer a lot of courses. These are around, building confidence, understanding yourself better, developing your skills, uh, developing your personal brand. These are things which will help you market yourself better, because once you're ready to come back after a break, you may have developed some more technical skills, but what will really help you at that point is your confidence and your ability to actually market yourself. So I would definitely encourage you to explore attending a few workshops on how to market yourself, how to brand yourself, how to be more confident, how to be more assertive, how to maybe speak in public. So so that you, when you come back, you have not just added few more technical skills, you've also added to your soft skills, which will help you do better. So I hope that has answered your question, Priyanka. um, Moving on to the next question, which is from Akshata. She has said, hi Sonali, there are plenty of choices to reskill and upskill. It leaves a woman restarter confused about which area to choose. Any website or resources which help women restarters to identify their area of interest and select a suitable course? So that's a great question, Akshata. Uh, so I would basically say that we tend to get confused when we are not sure what we actually want. Okay, so the first step I would encourage any restarter to do is to work on their self-awareness. If they are aware in terms of what kind of work they enjoy doing, what are their skills, what are their strengths, where do they want to see themselves in the future, they will have a lot more clarity in terms of whether they want to continue in the same company, in the same industry, or transition to another industry or another kind of role in the same industry. Okay, so the first step would be to actually explore programs that help you with self-awareness. The second step would be, once you identify which role or industry or company you want to get into, uh, look at profiles of people who are in that role, in that company, or in that industry, and see the kind of profiles they have. This will give you an idea of what are the skill sets that companies look for in that role. So then you will be able to identify the gap between what you have and what they expect. Okay, there are a lot of jobs that are being offered on platforms like LinkedIn. So if you go into LinkedIn and look at any job opening for a role that you're looking for, um, you can go and look at the company profile as well. You can look at the profile of the employees of that company, and that's a great starting point. So you have the job description, you have the profile of people, and you have your own profile. Okay, that will help you identify the gaps. And then there are so many platforms where you can actually do online courses. LinkedIn itself has learning programs. There are so many platforms. I don't think I need to mention any. They're all readily available. You just need to go look for, say, you want to become a data analyst, look for certification programs for data analysts.